Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about one of the fundamental aspects in finance, that is time value of money. Every decision that we made in life always involves two factors, time and uncertainties. Because whatever decision we make today, it is going to have impact in the future. And the future is full of uncertainties because nobody can predict precisely what is going to happen in the future. There are two major financial decisions. Either we invest or we borrow money. Investment means we limit or decrease our consumption today in order to be able to consume more in the future. And borrowing means that we have the ability to consume more today with the money that we borrow, and as the consequence, we need to pay our loans and reduce our consumption in the future. As a rational person, in making financial decisions, we need to compare between cost and benefit, where we choose the same amount of cost for the higher benefit or the lesser cost for the same benefit. And since the cost and benefit occurs at different point of time, we cannot just compare the same amount of money that occurs in different time. Why? First, because the value of money is different from time to time. How do we value money? Well, the simplest way is by comparing how much a certain amount of money could buy from time to time. For example, we can buy more goods with 100,000 rupiah 5 years ago compared to buying goods with 100,000 rupiah today due to inflation. The second reason is uncertainty. It is uncertain that you could get your 100,000 rupiah 5 years from now. Therefore, in calculating the value of money in the future, it is also important to take into account the risk that is attached to the uncertainties in the future. The third reason is the money that we have now has the opportunity to grow. For example, if we have 100,000 rupiah today and invested in an instrument that gives 8% interest, the amount will grow into 108,000 rupiah after 1 year. So we rather receive the same amount of money now than to have it in the future. See how time has value and the passage of time alone can make different impact in our decision making? Interesting, right? Okay, before we start, there are some terminologies that we use in calculating time value of money. The first one is present value. Present value means the value of anything today, while future value, as the name suggests, is the value of something in a certain period in the future, and is the number of periods within our time frame. For example, if we are thinking about today and the next couple of years, then our number of periods is 2. And this number of period does not have to be in years. It can also be in months or days depending the nature of the problem. R is the interest rate. In finance, interest rate also often refers as required rate of return, discount rate, or opportunity cost depends on how we apply it. In solving time value of money problems, it is very useful to get it visualized by using timeline. Now or at time 0, we call it present value or PV. And then we add number of periods 1, 2, 3, etc. Typically, if we adjust to how interest rate is stated and is stated annually or in 1 year period. And the value that we want to calculate after a certain period in the future is called the future value or FV. This future value concept is called compounding or growth over time because not just the principal, the interest that we got in our investment also have the opportunity to grow in the next period. Meanwhile, the process of calculating present value is called discounting. Why it is called discounting? Because the value of money in the future becomes less today.
In calculating cash flow that occurs at different point in time using time value of money, the cash flow that is inflow or outflow can be categorized into 3 general patterns, which are: first, single cash flow, where the cash flow occurs only once in the period that we calculate. Second, annuity, where the cash flow occurs multiple times with a condition that the pattern of cash flow is equal in size and equal in space. For example, you invest 700,000 rupiah every month or 1 million rupiah every year. If the pattern of the cash flow violates any of these conditions, then it is not an annuity. 3. mixed stream, where the cash flow pattern is irregular either in size or in time.
In calculating the future value of a single amount cash flow, we can use this equation. FVN represents future value at the end of period N. PV represents the initial principal or present value. R represents the interest rate, and N represents the number of periods. From the future value formula, we can calculate the present value simply by rearranging the equation. Our future value divided by 1 plus R to the power of N. This is an example of how the time value of money concept for a single amount cash flow can be applied on a personal financial planning. Let's say that you have just received a tremendous amount of gift from your parents today, which can be used to fulfill some of your financial goals. One of it is to fulfill your plan to pursue a master degree next year that will cost you 200 million rupiah in lump sum. Your bank offers you a deposit that compounds monthly and yields 5% per annum. Using the time value of money concept, you will be able to identify how much money you should allocate from the gift to achieve that goal. Consider that the 200 million rupiah tuition fee is the value of money in the future that you have to provide. Using the present value of a single amount formula with the discount rate of 0.42% per month, which coming from the annual yield of 5% divided by 12 months, and number of period of 12, represents the number of months in between the time you deposit the money and the time you pay the tuition, you will find out that you have to allocate approximately 190 million rupiah from your gift. There are two types of annuity, which are ordinary annuity and annuity due. An ordinary annuity is an annuity for which the cash flow occurs at the end of each period, while an annuity due is an annuity for which the cash flow occurs at the beginning of each period. An annuity due will always be greater than an otherwise equivalent ordinary annuity because interest will compound for an additional period. In calculating the future value of annuity for both ordinary annuity and annuity due, we can use these equations, where CF represents the amount of periodic cash flow. You may observe the difference between the two is on the additional compounding, or 1 plus R. This made the amount we earn on the future value annuity due is bigger compared to the ordinary one. In calculating the present value of annuity for both ordinary annuity and annuity due, we can use these equations, where CF represents the amount of periodic cash flow. You may observe the difference between the two is on the additional compounding, or 1 plus R. This made the amount we earn on the present value annuity due is bigger compared to the ordinary one. This is an example of how the time value of money concept for annuity cash flows can be applied on a personal financial planning. Let's say that you plan to retire in exactly 20 years from now. Your goal is to create a fund that will allow you to receive 25 million rupiah at the end of each year for the next 30 years after your retirement. To create the fund, you are going to make a 20 end of year deposits in your retirement account that will give you 8% return per annum. You would be able to earn 10% per year during the 30-year retirement period. To find out how much annual deposit to be made, you can apply the time value of money concept using these following two steps. First, you have to calculate the present value of all 30 payments that will be received after you are retired. Using the present value of annuity formula with the discount rate of 10% and number of period of 30, you will find out that you have to accumulate a fund valued as much as approximately 235 million rupiah at your retirement. Second, you want to know how much 20 end-of-year deposits that should be made to accumulate your retirement fund. Since you expect the same amount of deposit each year, you can simply use the future value of annuity formula to find out the cash flows. Please note that you have to consider the present value result from the previous step as a future value. With the discount rate of 10% and number of period of 20, you will know that you have to make an approximately 5 million rupiah deposit each year for the next 20 years. What if you want to calculate the value of different amount of cash flows that occurs in different period? You have to consider this as a mixed stream. Let's see how the time value of money concept for mixed stream cash flows can be applied on personal financial planning. Say that you have been offered a job that will allow you to accumulate increasing annual saving for the next 5 years. The first year annual saving of 50 million rupiah will be accumulated by the end of next year. The following year's annual saving amount will be 10 million rupiah bigger than the previous years. It means that you will accumulate another 60 million rupiah at the end of the second year, 70 million rupiah at the end of the third year, 80 million rupiah at the end of the fourth year, and 90 million rupiah at the end of the fifth year. You have a plan to use the accumulated saving from this job opportunity to buy a new car that will cost you 450 million rupiah 6 years from now. You have the opportunity to put your saving on an investment that will give you a 10% annual return and wanted to know whether your saving will be enough to finance your new car. Although you have 5 annual cash flow, you could not be able to use the annuity concept since the amount of 5 cash flows are different. Thus, in this case, you have to use the mixed stream concept. Using the future value of a single amount formula, you need to calculate the future value at year 6 of each of the cash flow that occurs from year 1 to year 5. After summing it up all together, you will find out that you can accumulate approximately as much as 457 million rupiah in year 6, and it will be enough to purchase your new car for sure. So, this is the end of our discussion on the time value of money. We hope that after watching this, you realize how impactful time is, and it's never too soon to start saving and investing to achieve your financial goals.